And welcome to an instant reaction of NFL Week 5. I'm your host, Noah Love, and tonight we will be talking all things NFL Week 5. Thursday night game was an overtime thriller between the Niners and Rams. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Sunday slate, and Monday night just ended. We're going to start there. We have no time to waste. Let's just get straight into it. The Jags shocked the Chiefs 31-28 in this football game. This was probably the best football game. Not really, not even probably the best football game of the week. This was a fantastic football game. The Jags are 4-1. Who saw this coming? The Jags and the Colts are 4-1. A lot of people, the officiating will be a big talking point, and I'll get to that in a minute. But first, I just want to talk about just the ebbs and flows of this football game. Chiefs get up 14-0. Chiefs offense looks great. It it was 7-0. Then they get the punch out Lawrence at the goal line. Chiefs go down 14-0. And I was thinking, okay, Chiefs probably Jacksonville's gonna fight, but Chiefs are probably gonna win this. Didn't turn out that way. Jacksonville just made some big plays. And look, Trevor Lawrence, he played well tonight. I really did. I really think he did. He was 18 of 25, 221. He had a touchdown. He had a pick, which we'll get to that because that was missed call. Again, the officiating is going to be a topic of discussion by the Chiefs and the Jags fans tonight. Lawrence, he ran for two touchdowns. Lawrence was just running on him all night. They were running on him all night. See here as well. In terms of the receiving, Thomas had 4 for 80. Travis Hunter had a big 44-yard catch late. Thomas had the big catch late going down the sideline by Lawrence. The difference in this game, honestly, I think that pick six by Mahomes. At that time, it's 14-14. You're at like what, the 4 or 5. You're going in uh, to throw. You're going in looking like you're going to go up 21-14, kind of regain the momentum back after Jacksonville had took it from you, and Devin Lloyd makes a big time play, gets a pick six, they go down, get a touchdown, win, and they win. Or not win in that moment in time, but he gets that pick six for a touchdown, and it shifts the whole game. And Kansas City was playing catch up from that point on. Look, Jacksonville, I give them a lot of credit. I give Liam Cohen a lot of credit to be 4-1 at this stage. I know it's early, but I did not expect them to be 4-1. There's another team in their own division that's 4-1. We will get to them later, and we will get into a more broader discussion in terms of that tonight. Chiefs had too many penalties. Constantly had special teams penalties that were taking big time returns off the board. The one holding at the end of the game. I think if they don't hold there, they probably get into field goal range for Bucker. Now, does Bucker make the kick? I don't know, but at least gives him a shot. Now, when they took that penalty, I was like, when the penalty happened, I was like, they're dead, because now you're starting from like your own 15 and whatever. It was bad. Chiefs are now 2-3 with Detroit on deck. This is a brutal loss because this is a game for Kansas City that the reason you lost was because you made mistakes. You had 13 penalties for 109 yards. You had the pick six and everything in terms of the defensive touchdown. I mean, I'm just looking at it, you were better in pretty much every statistical category. I'm looking at it. Yeah, more first downs. You had more first downs. The third down efficiency was the same. You didn't go for it on fourth down. The Jags went for it once, didn't get it. You ran more total plays. You have more total yards. You almost have 500 yards of offense. You have more drives. You have more yards per play. You average more yards per completion. You had more running yards despite Mahomes being your leading runner again. You had more yards per rush. You were better in the red zone. You were 4 for 5. You had more time of possession. But the penalties, you can't look in a game like this. You cannot have 13 penalties against that Jacksonville team, who this feels like. I feel like the Jags and the Bill, the Jags and the Patriots season defining wins to start. Season defining. This is a game where you walk in if you're Jacksonville. We don't really know if they're legit. It's at home. The Chiefs, they've won 2 in a row. They're playing well. Their offense is clicking. You get down 14-0, and then the rest of the way you outscore them 31-14. You outscore them by 17 the rest of the way, and you win. And this is massive for Jacksonville considering the way Houston may be starting to get it together. Also, uh, Indianapolis has been balling out. And this is huge because your next 2 games are hard. You've got the Seahawks at home, and then you have to go international, and you play the Rams. That's not an easy game there. So that 2 game stretch. So look, Jacksonville, this was massive for them. This was a great win by Jacksonville. In terms of the officiating, look, there were multiple missed calls for both teams. The miss PI on Kansas City was obviously egregious. Egregious. The PI late in the game on Kansas City, I mean the one where they get the pick off the ricochet. I don't know. The touchdown run by Lawrence is absolutely just that's ridiculous. How the Chiefs did not tackle him there, I don't know. That was kind of ridiculous. Look, this was a great game, awesome game. The Chiefs, they did so many different things to lose. They shot themselves in the foot. That's why they lost this football game. They made too many mistakes. And now Jacksonville's a 4-1 football team. I'm rewatching the throw here from Trevor to Brian Thomas down sideline. Like, that's a great throw. And then the one throw to Diami Brown. Hey, we talk about Trevor in the clutch moments when you have to have it. When you have to have it, he gave it to you. He did. And that's commendable. Look, the Chiefs, this was a huge loss. If you had won this, you're 3-2. It's a 3-way tie uh, for the division. The Chargers are still in first place despite the way they've looked, but Denver looks like they're getting it together and they got an easy schedule coming up. Look, that Detroit game, you get Detroit at home. You have a 3-game stretch where you get Detroit, Vegas, and Washington. And although that's not easy, you gotta at least win 2 of the 3, if not all 3. And the reason why I say at least 2 of the 3, because if you do, you're 4-4. You're 4-4. If you win all 3, you're 5-3. You're back in the saddle. But I'm just saying this realistically because you're 4-4. We're going into if you're 4-4, we're going into a time where you're at Buffalo, then you're at Denver, but that's coming off a bye. Then you're back at home against the Colts. Then you're on a short week. You're at Dallas. People will be like, Dallas's offense. I don't look. You may struggle defensively, but Dallas's offense. They'll have CeeDee Lamb back. That's Thanksgiving. That's a big time stage. We'll see. I think that's a very very tough game, and then Houston, we'll see what they're doing, and then you get the Chargers at home, and then you end the season. I want that's we're in October, but I'm just saying with your schedule, this is a tough loss to take for Jacksonville. You now, in just in terms, you have breathing room. You have breathing room. The AFC, you have breathing room. Look, in terms of the AFC, we'll get into that a little bit later in this show after we talk about the Sunday slate. And yeah, let's actually now go to the Thursday night game. That was the second best game. The Niners hospital team beat the Rams. Kyle Shanahan's a wizard. He's a wizard. He's a wizard. Mac Jones, return of the Mac. Return of the Mac. He was incredible. I give him a lot of credit. 33 for 49, 342, two touchdowns. They used McCaffrey in every way possible in this football game. Kendrick Bourne was great. By the way, this was no, obviously they have no Ayuk, but this is no Pearsall. This is no Kittle. I mean, there's no Juwan Jennings. On defense, there's obviously no Bosa. I mean, in terms of the big time guys that were playing, in terms of the stars, it's Warner and it's McCaffrey. That's it. And they found a way. They got up early, which helped. Look, to get a division win like that on the road is big time. That's big time for San Francisco. You're now 4-1. You're 3-0 on the road. And now, obviously, you get what's sort of like a bye. And then this week, you got to play Tampa Bay on the road. Jim Nantz and Tony Romo will be calling that. Now, that's not an easy game, obviously. Tampa will get to them because the NFC is crazy. I just think this is a big time. This is a big time win. And you're also 3-0 in your division. You beat Arizona on a last second field goal. You beat the Rams with that stop. Look, I don't know why you're taking the ball out of Stafford's hands there. If you're McVay, that's on you. Luckily, the Rams should have a get right game this week against the Ravens. In their schedule, coming down isn't that bad. These teams will play on November 9th when Kittle will probably be back. Purdy will probably be back. All of them. Hopefully McCaffrey stays healthy. But yeah, look, the Rams, this is a tough loss and it's been an up and down season. Look, you beat you you beat Houston, obviously. Yeah, the loss against the Eagles, which is a game you should have won. You can make an argument you should have lost to the Colts. Well, there's no argument. You should have lost to the Colts. And then you probably should have won this game and it slips. So, look, if you're the Rams, Kyron Williams had that fumble at the goal. That was really the game when he fumbled at the goal line. If you're the Rams, you have to go back to the drawing board. But this is a tough loss to stomach because this is a division game in your house against a very injured team and you don't win it. That's hard. Now let's go to the London game. The Vikings beat the Browns. Browns outplayed the Vikings and they lost. Again, the Browns are outplaying some of these teams this year, but they're not finishing. They're not finishing. They outplayed the Bengals and lost. They outplayed who was it? They won week 3 against the Packers. Okay, they outplayed them and won, but they outplayed the Vikings. This is the second time this has happened this year where they've outplayed a team and lost. I mean, Cleveland just keeps outplaying teams and they keep losing because they can't finish. Yeah, this was a tough loss for Cleveland. I thought Gabriel played pretty decent. I thought he kept his poise. They ran the ball well with Quishon Jenkins. I just think their offense, they don't have a whole lot of weapons. Look, the Vikings did what they had to do to get a dub. Wentz played turnover free. I thought he was really good. Getting the ball to Justin Jefferson, obviously, he was unstoppable, it seemed like. But they had two turnovers early that you can't have. Then the Addison touchdown late. The Vikings look in the NFC, which is wow. You gotta find a way to win, and that's what they did. So that's huge for them. Okay, a couple quick games that we will recap. Houston, Baltimore, not much to talk about. Houston, okay, offensively they look better. Baltimore, this feels like the 2015 season for them. This feels like the 2015 season for them, where just everybody was on IR. Everybody was on IR, and everybody was hurt. Okay, let's talk about another game. Saints beat the Giants 26-14. Giants had a bunch of turnovers, 5 turnovers and 5 straight possessions. You know, the last NFL team to do that, the Jets. Crazy. I'm not worried about Dart. Dart played fine. I thought he played fine. The Saints, look, first one of the season. I characterized it in my notes as the Saints Super Bowl. That's what this was. Kellen Moore gets his first win. The Saints, they're bad, but they've been playing. They've been trying to keep it competitive. They've been bad, but keeping it competitive. Okay, that's kind of that's what's been happening. So yeah, look, Saints good win. Another game that we'll go over quickly. Dallas and the Dallas beat the Jets. Jets are awful. We're not even going to waste time on them. Let's get to Dallas. 37-22. Dallas is off. Dak is playing like an MVP. 37. They're playing. He's just playing so incredibly well. He's poised. He was dialed. And a big thing for Dallas that they could not do last year. Schottenheimer's obviously brought a more modern style of offense, a little bit more motion, more under center. I think that has helped Dak. But the ability to run the football. Javonte Williams isn't a bad back. I get it. You could have had Henry. He's not Henry. I'm talking about last year in free agency. Could have Henry. But Javonte Williams isn't a bad back. And look, that O line, now, they were kind of decimated with injuries, but the Cowboys, look, play really well. Look, this game, it was 23-3 at halftime. This game was over. The Jets look worse by the week. The defense, I'm not going to get your hopes up because because the Jets, I think they're just awful, man. Awful. But in terms of the offense, look, if you get CD back, that'll be key. Ryan Flournoy had himself a day. Pickens has what, 5? He has 5 touchdowns in 5 games, I believe is what it was. 5 touchdowns in 5 games for Dallas. So yeah, he's playing good. Look, if they can just figure out the defense, they could. That's a team you do not want to play. Now let's go to the games we'll take a lot more time on. Let's go to Carolina and Miami. Carolina beats Miami 27-24. Carolina is they're terrible on the road, but they're good at home. And you will ask me, why are you taking more time on this game? It's because I want to highlight Bryce. Bryce Young played decent in this game. When they had to have it, he got it, made some good throws. It's 19-31, 98, 2 touchdowns, and only a pick. Look, they ran the ball for 239 yards overall. Rico Dowdle, the number one, he might be the number one back going forward after this performance. 23 carries, 206 yards, a touchdown. Carolina, look, they were down 17. They overcome a 17-point deficit to win it at home, giving Carolina fans some hope here. McMillan played well, I thought. After that, the receiver, I know Leggett called a touchdown. Carolina, it was their ability to have a balance that helped them win this football game. It was their ability to have a balance. Their defense, I'm still not sold on it. But they did look. They 17-0. They got some stops, make it. They outscored them 27-7 rest of the way. The defense got some stops. I give a lot of credit to them. Carolina in this NFC, I don't think they're going to go to the playoffs or anything crazy like that because the NFC is too hard. But they're sneaky. They're a sneaky team that can get you. They play Dallas this upcoming week. They're sneaky. They can beat Dallas, I think. I think because Dallas's defense still isn't that good. They are a snake. They play well at home. On the road, can't tell you why they play like that. But they are sneaky. They be, because now if they do have a run game, if they can keep that balance, and offensively Bryce can play pretty decent, they can shock some people. Again, I think their thing this year will be playing spoiler alert, but I do believe they're a team that could be 7 wins if I pushed it 8, but I believe they are a team that can shock like somebody big this year, where it's late in the playoff race and somebody has to go to Carolina, like I don't know, the Rams go to Carolina on the 30th, or even the Bucks, they go there on the 21st trying to wrap up a division title, and Carolina just says, "You can do it next week, not in our house." That's something that could happen. So yeah, I think Carolina's really could be a sleeper in terms of that aspect. Dolphins done. McDaniel will be an awesome offensive coordinator. Done. Can't blow 17-0 on the road. 17 doesn't can't blow that lead. Can't. If you had won this game, you would have been like, okay, you're 2-3. It's not you're kind. We still think you're bad, but maybe you can do some things. No, you're dead. 1-4, dead, over. Defense is still awful. Letting go of Vic Fangio, wrong. I don't know why you did that because you see what he's doing at Philly, wrong. Tua was fine. Tua was good. I don't think the game was on him. I think your inability to run the football. You still can't run the football. They went Devon Achane had 10 carries for 16 yards. The silence is deafening because what? And especially when the team on the other side ran for 239. Yeah. No, Waddle had a good day. Look, no Tyreek Hill. Obviously, he's gone for the season. He's probably done there with a leg injury. Look, Waller has played well. He's been a revelation the past couple of weeks, but Miami's just done. They're rebuild, blow it up, done. Indianapolis takes care of business 40-6 against Vegas. Vegas, Geno stinks. We're not wasting any time on them. This is the Colts. Cause I really want to talk about this because of the Monday night game that happened. The Colts and the Jackson, and this division rating, are the Colts a legit team? The Colts scored 40 points in 2 quarters. They didn't score in the first. They didn't score in the fourth. They didn't give up a touchdown in this game. But they got it on field goals. The Colts destroyed the Raiders. And look, the Colts with bad teams over the years have not done this. You destroy Miami 33-8. You destroy Tennessee. You're beating the teams that you're supposed to, and you're not only beating them, you're destroying them, which is a good thing. Your defense played really, really well. Geno threw 2 picks. Geno, awful. Daniel Jones, 20, 29, 212, 2 touchdowns. Game manager. You were able to you ran the ball on the second half. Taylor had 3 touchdowns. You've been able to spread the wealth. They benched A.D. Mitchell after last week. Bring in Doolin. Doolin had 2 catches for 55 yards. Look, Coming into the game, they led in terms of yards per play. I mean, look, if you are a Colts fan, like I am, but I try to stay unbiased, you are extremely, extremely, extremely happy with how this team has played. Now, obviously, this team still has holes that need to be fixed. They need another linebacker opposite Zaire Franklin. Hopefully, they get Kenny Moore back in the slot corner, but Mike Hilton has been really, really solid since he's been in there. I do think they need a better pass rush. I do think they need an edge rusher. They need another corner opposite Chardavius Ward. Xavier Howard retired. You don't have anything there. Offense, I don't think anything really needs to be tweaked because of the way they're balling. But yeah, I think the Colts, in terms of the AFC, they may be the most well-rounded team right now. And I don't even think that's crazy to say. That look, the AFC, it we'll get into it because I have thoughts, but the Colts do what they're supposed to do. They destroy a team. They destroyed the Raiders. Their next couple of games, I mean, look, they play the Cardinals at home and on the road against the Chargers. Back in LA, then they play the Titans. You could be look if the Colts are 7-1. No, in on November 2nd. That timeout. That will be start. I think they're gonna be 6-2 probably. Pro, I think they're gonna lose probably either to the Cardinals or to the Chargers. I would probably say that Chargers game most likely. But if they are 7-1, going into that November 2nd game at Pittsburgh, look out. Because this team is really good. This team really good. Look, they have Jonathan Taylor, who's leading the lead in rushing. He's become an every down back. Daniel Jones is playing well. He's being a game manager. Also, they're going to need kicker Schrader towards ACL and MCL. They're going to have to get that in order. Injuries, man, they stink. But the Colts did what they needed to do, and you can't be happier with that. This game is where the madness really started in terms of the upsets. Denver shocks Philadelphia 21-17. Again, officiating was a big topic in this football game. I'm not blaming officiating for the way for Philly loss. Although I do think they got two bad breaks at the end, two horrendous calls that one was a bad call and the other was a no call. The no call at the end of the game where Goddard, he's getting held. It's interference. Throw the flag. And then the one where Zach Bond, Nix is still trying to, I think it was Nix was wrong. He was still trying to move for the first down. It would have been fourth down. Bond, I guess they're saying he could have pulled up. I went through the flag. I didn't like it. I thought it was weak. Now, let's get into Denver here. Denver, you can say they're a leverage call and a couple of missed throws away from 5-0. You can say that. Or they're a Herbert crazy play away from being 4-1. You can say that. Denver's a really good football team. And in this AFC that seems to be wide open, they're they're a team that they can compete with the big boys. Look, offensively, they didn't do anything till the fourth quarter. I thought Sean Payton called a masterful fourth quarter. I thought they did a good job of moving moving Bo's launch point. I think they did a good job of moving the pocket. Thought the O line did a nice job holding up against that Eagles front. They ran the ball pretty well. Look, Knicks was fantastic late in the game. Philly was not. Philadelphia, look, Devontae Smith had a big day, 8 for 114. Brown, they missed on a touchdown. I the To me, when I watched this game, I could only think one thing. Man, do they miss Kellen Moore. That was my thought. Man, they miss Kellen Moore. Like that's honestly the first thought that came to my head. Like, no Kellen Moore. They need him bad. They need him back bad. That was honestly my first thought. Because they do need him back bad. Look, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Saquon Barkley had that big touchdown catch, but Barkley didn't do any. They're not running the football. Why is Saquon Barkley in terms of carries only getting 6 carries? Why is he only getting 6? Why is Saquon Barkley not getting more touches? Look, the offensive line last year was more dominant. I get that, but bro, we gotta find a way to get Saquon Barkley the ball. Saquon is dynamic when he has it. You saw it on the touchdown catch that he had where Hurts threw it in the bucket, where they got him on a wheel route 1-on-1 with the linebacker. You saw that. And for some reason we're not going to get him more touches. I don't I really don't understand it. I don't. Hurts was sacked 6 times. Look, Nick Bonito and his Broncos defense was all over Philadelphia. Denver proved Denver proved they could play. Look, Denver in terms of defense, their defense is going to keep them in the game. They got great back end. They're going to get Greenlaw back. They've got Nick Bonito. They got Sertain, got Riley Moss in that back end. Hufanga. They've got Zach Allen's real. Jonathan Cooper, really good. Zach Allen, really good. This is, from a defensive standpoint, probably this is a top 5 defense. Hopefully, you hope Jahad Barron can come into his own because he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be really good coming out of Texas. Denver, man, they're a team. They're a team in this AFC this year. They're a team that they cause issues for people. They'll cause issues mainly on the defensive side, but on the offensive side, look, with Knicks and Payton's play calling, I do. He had great game management. I do think they need another receiver. That's just me. But also, I'm looking at Philadelphia, and this is honestly what I'm saying to myself. I'm saying Sirianni's coordinator dependent. He needs the court. Look, the year they went to the Super Bowl in his what was it, his second year when they went to the Super Bowl, he had Steichen and he had Gannon. Steichen and Gannon get poached. That next year they start off 9-1, but then they finish 11-6. It was awful. They go into Tampa Bay, they just get straight smoked, 31-9. They get smoked. It doesn't happen. They come back the next year. We got Kellen Moore as our OC. Get Vic Fangio as our OC. We have to make some changes mid-season, but we get to the Super Bowl. Now we're coming out of Super Bowl. Kellen Moore gets a head coaching job with the Saints. Patulo's in there now. He's struggling a little bit. Vic Fangio, the defense, it looked like it hasn't skipped a beat. So you have to look. So you have to look at that. If you're Philadelphia, my worry is this isn't a player issue or personnel issue. This is a coordinator issue, and I don't know if that can be fixed. That is my worry for Philadelphia. Denver, look, great win. This is the biggest win of the Payton era in Denver. Biggest win. Bigger than any win they had last year. This A lot of teams this year have shown, hey, we have arrived. Okay, now let's just get this game out the way. Detroit and Cincinnati. Detroit beat Cincinnati 37-24. That ain't look. My worry is about Detroit's secondary. That's where I worry. Jared Goff was great. I think the Bengals defense did take some steps. Browning, they were able to do something. Look, 3 turnovers, but for the Bengals, they're awful. Season's done. Their Burrow was covering up so much. Um, in terms of that, a lot of people say don't hold your breath on Zach Taylor being fired. He may not be. It really depends. Look, Detroit will get into them because in a little bit because I am saving that topic where I'm going to talk about both conferences for the end of this video, and it will be. I hope it's a great discussion. But yeah, Lions the Lions win. They dominated. They let the Bengals get something late. They were up 28-3. Kind of took their foot off the gas. Campbell will get on them, but great win or a good, very good win. They've won 4 in a row. Now let's get into this game. Tennessee and Arizona. Let's just get straight to it. DeMercado, what are you doing? We're dropping the ball. Amari DeMercado ran it 71 yards down, and we're dropping the ball. Why? Why are we Why do players still do this? This was way worse than whatever A.D. Mitchell did. Way worse. We're dropping the ball. Like, what are we doing? We're dropping the ball here? Like, I have no clue what we're doing there with that mess. Kyler played decent. I still think it's Petsing. Still think it's Petsing. His play calling's atrocious. Look, 1 first down and you survive 21-19, and we run the ball 3 times. We don't put it in Kyler's hand. Marvin had a great day. Why are we not trying to get him the ball? That was beyond me. Arizona did so much stuff. You had the I guess Kyler wasn't ready for the ball. They snap it, hits his helmet. Tennessee recovers. Obviously, what DeMercado does, you or not does, but did that. What DeMercado did, that changed the whole script. I'm thinking, okay, it's stupid, but they're gonna get out of here with a W. And then all of a sudden, Cam Ward happens. Cam Ward had a raw says, "I'm here, ladies and gentlemen." The throws he made in the fourth quarter to Calvin Ridley were into the one where they ran a post. I think he I think really ran like a post, and this was on 3rd down, and he rifles it in between 2 guys. Is caught. The one on the final drive down the sideline. I mean, you would have thought Calvin Ridley was back at the Falcons with this. Kidding me? I mean, seriously, those last 3 drives, he was incredible. Well, the drive where they cut it to 9, it should have been 8, but Joey Slye missed it. He was incredible there. And in the penultimate drive, look, that play, interception, gets it fumbled, is rolling into the end zone. Lockett recovers it for a touchdown. What the heck? Like that's one of those plays where I just like, well, Arizona's going to lose this game. That's really what I said. When that play happened, yeah, they're going to lose this game. And then I said, look, if Cam Ward gets his ball back, it's over. He got it back. He was delivering dimes. They get it to Sly. Sly drills it and from short out, and Tennessee wins in what is the worst loss in the NFL this season. The fact that you lose this game to that team, to Tennessee, who, look, there have been talks about firing his coach. They felt dead. talks about firing the coach. They had looked dead. It looked like they weren't giving any sort of fight. Their offense, look, the defense was fighting in this football game, but the offense looked inept for 3 quarters, and you lose that game. Arizona, you're I don't want to say I don't want to say it, but your season's gone. I mean, 3 straight weeks where you lose on a game-winning field goal, which is demoralizing. This game shouldn't have even been close. Okay, see the Seattle game, you fought your way back. Chad Ryland, what are we doing there? Okay, darn, you lose to Seattle. That's understandable. The Niners, you lose that game. The Niners got out a gritty win. Okay, I get it. You in this you had a golden opportunity as well, because if you the okay, yeah, the Niners won, which okay sucks, but the Rams lost. The Rams lost because obviously Niners beat them, and then the Seattle, they lost. We'll get to them in a second, and you can't capitalize off of that. You could have, in your playing Tennessee, you could have been 3-2, right with a three-way tie, right in the thick of this thing. But no, you lose, and now it feels like your season is just on the brink of just dead, dead. To me, people are going to be talking about people have been talking about the fumble, rightfully so, but I don't think enough people have talked about how good Cam Ward was in the fourth quarter, and how that may be the thing that, look, Cam Ward, if they get the right personnel around him, top 10 quarterback. I think he was tremendous. And look, I get it, through three wasn't great. Again, look at his situation, but he was fantastic. And I'll say it again. It seems like Cam Ward, the Titans era, has arrived, America. That's what it feels like with that football game and what happened. Now, let's get into. Let's actually go to Washington and the Chargers. Washington beats the Chargers 27-10. The This game, look, it started off 10-0. Then there's a fumble, and that changed the game. Washington outscores them 27-0 the rest of the way. The defense for Washington played really well. They bounced back after last week. I do not believe the problems are Herbert's fault right now. I do think he is still playing decent. I do think, look, them struggling to run the ball. By the way, Amarion Hampton is on IR. That's just great. Their offensive line. We've got our 2 All-Pro tackles, or at least Pro Bowl tackles. One's out for the season in Slater. The other one is out for several weeks, and then we've got a guard out. We just got people out, and we can't block anybody right now. And Herbert's getting sacked, and we can't do anything about it. And we're playing, and then defensively, we're not setting the edge against Washington. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt ran all over you. He was averaging 8 yards per carry, 14 carries for 111. Look, it was a great return game for Jaden Daniels. He was 15 26, 231, 1 touchdown. The one pass he threw to Luke McCaffrey, where he just drops it in the bucket. He just nasty. Just drops it in the bucket late in that football game. That was not late, but in the dang it, before the half. Before the half is when it was that That was great. That was a great throw. By the way, Terry McLaurin didn't even play in this football game. Debo Samuel was fantastic. He was 8 for 96 in the touchdown. I know people aren't going to want to talk about it, but Debo's played very, very well. When it was 20-10, I thought, okay, if the Chargers get a touchdown here and it looked like they were going to, then it's the interception. It gets tipped in Washington. They pick it off, and Washington and what they pick it off. Washington obviously chews the clock there, and that's ball game. The Chargers have got to figure it out. And look, I know some injuries, but they have to look. They're on the road at Miami this week, so that's a get right game. Then you play the Colts. So you should be able to a good get get right game this upcoming week. If you're able to win that Colts game, interesting. Then you play the Vikings. If you're able to get 2 out of the 3, you're 5-3, and you're going into the bye and you come back with Tennessee. That's going to be the thing. That's going to be the message. So the Chargers, look, they got to play better. They have to play better. Washington, obviously, they didn't have Daniels for 2 weeks. Daniels was back. Look, these games coming up are huge because this NFC, man, and we're going to get to it, straight demon conference. They got the Bears on Monday Night Football next week. Then after that, they got on the road. They're on the road at Dallas. They're on the road at Kansas City, and then they got Seattle at home, and then they got the Lions at home. That's just brutal. That's brutal. That's just brutal. Especially that 3-game stretch. Arrowhead, then you get 2 games at home, but there gets Seahawks and Lions. One of them's on Sunday night, which Darnold versus Daniels. You sign me up. But yeah, you also get the NFC divisional round rematch this time in Washington. Yeah, we'll see what the Commanders do. Some teams that were on a bye, forgot to mention this: Atlanta, Chicago, Green Bay, Pittsburgh on a bye. Let's get into. I said this was. I said that Kansas City and Jacksonville was the best game to start. I take that back. Tampa and Seattle was. Tampa stuns, steals a win in Seattle 48-35. Baker 29-33, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Baker was dialed. Straight dialed. Emeka Buka, stud. 7 catches, 163 yards, and a touchdown. Straight stud. On the other side, Darnold, dialed. 28 for 34, 341, 4 touchdowns. He had that one unfortunate pick at the end. He threw a touchdown. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 8 for 132. He was targeted 9 times, caught 8 balls. Man, I gotta tell you, Seattle's not. That's a very good, bordering on great Seattle defense, and Baker picked them apart. And on some of them throws, you're just thinking, I'm just thinking to myself, Seattle, you can't play it any better than that. You can't play it any better than that. And Baker just drops it in the bucket. The last touchdown of Sterling Shepard, where he gets out of it, he drops it in there. Very great throw. And these 2 quarterbacks coming from terrible organizations with Darnold, with the Jets and Panthers, with Baker, ironically with the Browns and the Panthers, and to do what they've done, in terms what Darnold did with Minnesota, now what he's doing with Seattle, and what Baker has done since he's got into Tampa, has been amazing. It's been amazing. Tampa and Seattle are both going to be in it at the end. I want to see this game again. hopefully in the playoffs. I would love to see this game again. Uh, I I love to see this game again. And you know what? We're going to get into the Sunday night game versus the Patriots and the Bills, but I'm actually going to segue this into the conversation about the NFC because the NFC I'll say it, straight demon conference. That's what it is at this point. Straight demon conference. I don't know. This conference, man, is so freaking good. If I can pull up my standings here, this conference is so freaking good. Standings at the moment, as I'm trying to see, the no, just wow, America. We have some. Okay, let me pull them. Let me do it because it just does not want to cooperate at the moment. Let's see it on my phone. Wow, America, this is just not. This is great, I guess. Uh, I know Philadelphia. Yeah, Philadelphia is the one seed. They are the number one seed at the moment. They're the number one seed. The number one seed in that conference. Let's see it now. Yep, it popped up. Okay. Technical difficulties. Eagles are the number one seed, right? And I know it's early to be talking about all this, but I'm just trying to give you the feel. The Rams, who a lot of people feel like are Super Bowl contenders, are ninth at the moment. The Cowboys, who people have talked about, should Dak be an MVP? Can they go to the playoffs? They're 12th. Like Dallas is not a bad. They're not. Their offense is great. Their defense is bad. They're. I think if they were in the AFC, they'd be a playoff team. Again, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Tampa, Detroit, Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay, who people declare were the best, who a lot of us declared, yes, us, a lot of us declared as the best team in the NFL after 2 weeks. You lose to the Browns, and then you had the Cowboys game happen. Look, a bye was needed this week. They needed that bye so they could refocus. And then I'm looking at Seattle 6. Seattle's a contender, I think. Seattle's going to be there. Seattle's really good. Like, Darnold, their defense is going to keep them in any game. I know, but Baker's playing at elite level right now. They're that's going to keep them. They're going to keep them in any game. Darnold, I think they're really good. Vikings right now at seventh. That NFC North again. Minnesota now. We'll see with McCarthy. I know Wentz is playing well, but Minnesota they're not bad. They're a scrappy team, feisty, feisty team. Their defense is still really good. They still have weapons on offense. They're just going to have to be able to put it together. Now, do I think they're as good as last year? No. But could they be a playoff team? Yes. Washington. This is a team, nobody's talking about Washington. They made the NFC title game last year, and Daniels has been out for 2 games. I get it. The Packers game was not great. I get the Falcons game, they were able to stay close, but that was not great. But Daniels was out that game. I mean, the Rams, who I think is still going to win the division, because San Francisco, but is banked up. The, I mean, the Rams are front. I believe the Rams it can represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I do believe that. Then we get to sort of like these lower level teams that are going to be fine for that 7 seed. I put Atlanta stock. I put Atlanta in the playoffs this year. Atlanta's not bad. But I'm starting to rethink that because with this conference, I don't know if they're gonna make it. The defense is gonna add. Like they can get Buffalo, like they play Buffalo this week. They can get Buffalo trouble because I believe their offense is that good. I believe that they use Bijan correctly. They have London, they have Pitts, Penix can play well. They're a team that can get you. And then I'm looking at Chicago. Chicago's got some goodwill. They've won two in a row. They play. They're on the road at Washington. That Monday night doubleheader should be fun watching. But I'm just saying, like Chicago, I'm not saying they're great or they're just kind of in between. But they're a team with a lot of talent, and with their schedule, they are a team that I believe could maybe do something. Could they sneak in? I don't know. Again, to get into the playoffs in the NFC, that's gonna seven. That's like to get to that seven spot. That's gonna be interesting. That the playoffs in the NFC. I know it's early, but even just the rest of these regular season games. I mean, that Bucks Niners game next week is big, and that Bears Commanders game next week is big because the playoff position, it's going to be an all-out war in the NFC. Just all-out war. All-out war. Uh, and I want to get to Bills and Patriots. The Patriots upset the Bills, and I'm going to segue that into my AFC conversation. The Patriots, man. Drake May, America. Drake May. I'll continue to say it. New England has announced they have arrived. They've announced that, look, we are here to play. We are here to play. We're here to play ball. We feel like we can beat anybody in this conference. Buffalo, watch out. We're not scared of you. We're gonna come to you where you have a good quarterback. We're gonna we're gonna throw the ball. We're gonna ask him to make smart decisions. We're also going to run the football at times a little bit. We're gonna be able to run out on you, but most importantly, we're gonna be physical. Our defense is gonna come. They're gonna punch you in the mouth. They're gonna make it a rock fight, and you're gonna say, "Now what?" We may not have the roster may not be what it is next year because I do think they still have holes on this roster, obviously. But the win, what whiteout in Buffalo Sunday night, that's a young team with a young quarterback, and Drake May just said, "We're I'm poised." Drake May's played great. Look, the first game against the Raiders, rough. Cincinnati's played great. The Dolphins game, he was great. The Pittsburgh game, he was great. They just lost because they just couldn't keep the ball off the ground. Carolina, great. This game, great. The on the final drive, that first down where he's going to get sacked and he throws it, fantastic play for new by him. He made a lot of play. He made a lot of plays off script, which was big time. That was big time. And New England, they can get in the playoffs, man. I think they're really good. They're kind of peaking at a good. Well, not peak. I won't say they're peaking, but they're playing really well since week one, and that's commendable. And now they have their game back, and they have a game on Buffalo. And when Buffalo goes to them, that's going to be a fight. This ain't gonna be no. They Buffalo. This ain't gonna be last year where you have the division locked on December 1st because the Dolphins, Jets, and Pats stink. Nah, the Patriots are saying, look, those other two teams might stink, but we don't, and we're coming, and you're gonna have to fight to the very end against us. That's what the message they were saying. They were saying, look, Buffalo 4-0. They were 4-0 walking in, 4-1. They're no more undefeated. Buffalo will be fine for a regular season standpoint. My main thing is the defense. Their defense, bro. I'm just telling you, it's not good. It's not a championship level defense. No matter how bad people don't want to hear that, it's not. It's not a championship level defense. It is not. They unless they make some serious moves. Look, there. I mean, Joey Bosa's giving them a little bit of a rush, but not that. But not that much. Uh, yeah, he's giving them a little bit of a rush, but not that much. The the back end still not very good. Josh Allen on offense, you know him. He has to be Superman because if Cook can't obviously run the ball, they want to have a balance, and they've been able to have balance. But there are some games where Josh Allen just has to be Superman, and if he can't, they lose. That's what that is. Look, their schedule. Look, they play. They're on the road with against the Falcons that they have to buy. Then they're on the road against Panthers. Then you got the Chiefs. Yeah, you got the Dolphins. After that, you got the Bucks. It's whatever. Look, Buffalo. They're the same, they feel like the same team as last year. Which, in terms of regular season, you'll be fine. But in terms of the playoffs, you're not gonna like how it ends. In terms of getting it, you may even get to the AFC title game, but you could lose. But you may lose because your defense just isn't that good. Which leads me to we've been doing this for over an hour in terms of the recording. This is great. This is how you know a lot of stuff happened in the NFL. Which leads me to this Buffalo, which lead not Buffalo, but the playoff picture. It leads me to this. Not the playoff picture, but just the AFC in general, bro. Who's good in the AFC? Real talk, and I'm saying that the AFC is a disaster, and I'm not even saying this just to say they're a disaster. That's what it feels like. Miami stinks. They were supposed to be a fringe wild card team. They stink. Baltimore's injured to heck. They're injured. They are big time injured. Even if they get back healthy, maybe it'll be too late. I don't know. They have no room for error. Houston still has a lot of offensive line problems. Look, they've looked good against a team in terms of Tennessee that we thought has stopped fighting, but Tennessee, they still stink. Roster's not good. Good job. You beat them, and then you beat a Baltimore team that's injured and back. They're just absolutely injured. Now, you did what you needed to do. Maybe you're finding something. But Houston, they have a lot of flaws. Cincinnati's done. Look, their defense isn't that good to begin with. They've lost 3 in a row. Burrow, Burrow's out. Even they won't be in the hunt for December to where he even comes back. Like they're 14.5 point underdogs against Green Bay. So people are expecting Green Bay to whoop them bad. Look, they nothing there. They just ain't got. Cincinnati's dead. Kansas City has their own issues. Their defense has regressed. Their defense not the same as it's been the past 2 years. Offense, they found some life, which is good. Still don't run the ball enough for me at times. Struggling they struggled in the back end tonight. They struggled with tackling against Jacksonville. The Chiefs, I, I genuinely, I think they'll be fine, but because they've earned that benefit of the doubt. But man, it looks rough right now. Is Jacksonville like a contender? I don't know. I think they're good, but or solid, but are they a contender? I don't think so. Denver, I mean, look, Denver's really good. Denver's really good. I think. Can they go to the Super Bowl? Again, this is what I'm saying. The AFC is wide open. Again, this is a year. that it just feels like it just feels like it's it just feels weird to start. Pittsburgh's the 3 seed at the moment. Pittsburgh, I don't know. It's their division to lose at this point. They're at this rate because Baltimore's hurt. Cleveland stinks. We knew that. Cincinnati's done. Pittsburgh, you just gotta win, man. But do we buy them from an offensive perspective? Do we? I mean, their defense is playing better, but it hasn't been great. But do we like buy them in terms of a legit contender? Like if their next two divisional, their next two games are in the division against the Browns and the Bengals. If they win those two games and they're 5-1, depending on how they look, are we buying them? I don't know. Buffalo, we just talked about it. They got some of the same issues from last year. Indy's the number 1 seed at the moment with Daniel Jones. That's really the only question mark about them. I mean, obviously, I went in as my Colts fan. I went into some of the other things that need to be cleaned up. But Indy looks like the most well-rounded team. Like, I'm telling you, Lou Anarumo's done a good job. Indy looks like the most well-rounded team. And honestly, if you told me Indy is the Colts are the best team in the AFC right now, how am I gonna? If even I like that because I'm a fan of the team. But even if I wasn't, how am I gonna argue against you? What am I going to say? Buffalo? How is Buffalo in terms of roster? Buffalo's not better than Indy in terms of the roster. Yes, they have the better quarterback. They don't have the better back. They don't have the better offensive line. They've got better D line. I mean, look. Cole Bishop's still in the back end. Joey Bosa is okay. Matt Milano's past his prime. Shaq Thompson has given them something, but Buffalo again until the defense is now. Luckily, with the way the AFC is this year, maybe you could scoop so far because a lot of things can change. May I don't want to say this year. Maybe you can scoop by, but I don't know. Again, I'm comparing the two teams. AFC disaster. It's literally a disaster where the Chiefs look that those last two wild card spots. It'll be interesting to see who gets it, but we're running about an hour and 8. This is great. But that is the end of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast in your NFL Week 5 reaction. We talk big time, everything here. I'm your host, Noah Love. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. And until the next time, see ya.